He came home earlier than expected. And what unfolded between us changed everything I thought I knew about love, boundaries, and the quiet spaces of the heart. I wasn't prepared for the way he looked at me, or how I'd feel when he said those unexpected words under the stars. What started as comfort became something deeper, more honest, and something I never dared to speak aloud until now. My name is Amelia Carter. I live alone in a small lakeside town in Oregon. The mornings here are quiet, the wind brushing softly against my window panes, whispering through the curtains like forgotten lullabies. My son Ethan had moved away for college 2 years ago. He was all grown up now, or at least I thought he was. That Tuesday morning started like any other. I had my coffee in the kitchen, barefoot, robe loosely tied, staring out at the dew resting on the grass. The house had been too quiet lately. Sometimes I caught myself talking to the shadows just to hear a voice back. I missed Ethan more than I ever dared to admit aloud. Not just because he was my only child, but because the way we used to laugh, share secrets, and trust each other deeply, it had always been special. A bond one never wanted to lose. I was halfway through my cup when I heard the front door creak. I turned instinctively, heart skipping. "Mom." My mug slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. There he stood, tall, broad-shouldered, messy-haired, with a duffel bag slung over one arm. "Ethan." I breathed, rushing toward him. I wrapped my arms around him, burying my face into his chest. He chuckled, his voice deeper now. "Surprise." He smelled like musk and sunshine and freedom. When I pulled away to look at him, something shifted in my chest. He looked older, manlier, more defined. And for the briefest second I saw him not as my little boy but as a man. I scolded myself silently. What a strange thought. I took the early break. Finals were easier this year. His eyes scanned the living room. "Same old furniture, huh?" I smiled, awkwardly brushing a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "Well, some things don't need changing." We sat on the couch and talked for hours. His classes, the girls he wasn't dating, his music gigs, his dreams. He had grown emotionally too, more expressive, more open. The way he looked at me while speaking, calm, focused, as if I was the only person who mattered, gave me goosebumps. Later that evening he offered to cook dinner. I watched him move around the kitchen in his white t-shirt, sleeves rolled up, veins popping slightly on his arms as he chopped vegetables. I realized just how much I had missed his presence. His voice, his laugh, even his nagging about my bad taste in television. After dinner I went to change into something more comfortable. I pulled on a soft tank top and yoga pants. No makeup. Hair loose. I didn't think much of it. He was my son. But as I came back down, I noticed how his eyes lingered for a second longer than usual. "Wow, Mom. You still look amazing." My heart did a flip. I laughed it off, but my skin warmed beneath his gaze. We watched a movie together, side by side on the couch. Somewhere halfway through, my head tilted against his shoulder. His arm wrapped around me, gently, protectively. I closed my eyes. For the first time in months I felt held. "Do you remember the camping trip?" he whispered. I smiled. "Of course. You were 11. You insisted on making the fire and nearly burned your eyebrows off." He laughed. "I remember it differently. You wrapped me in a blanket and kissed my forehead. I felt so safe with you." Silence fell between us. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It was thick with something unspoken. Something deep. Maybe even dangerous. He stood up suddenly. "I'm gonna go shower." I nodded, trying not to let my thoughts wander. But they did. They raced with feelings I didn't have the courage to name. His presence stirred something in me. Not wrong, but confusing. Maybe it was just loneliness. Or the wine. Or the way he had become a man and still looked at me with that same childhood love. But differently now. I heard the water run upstairs and leaned back, closing my eyes. Memories poured in, his baby giggles, his teenage rebellion, our late-night talks. And now this man who returned home unexpectedly and made me feel alive again. When he came back down, his hair damp, shirt clinging to his chest, he smiled and said, "I've missed this house. And everything about you." His words clung to me like a secret I couldn't let go of. Something was shifting between us. And I didn't know how to stop it, or if I even wanted to. That night I lay in bed, tossing and turning. I heard the faint creak of the stairs and then a gentle knock. "Mom." His voice was soft. Almost hesitant. "Yes." He peeked in. "Can't sleep. Mind if I?" I scooted over instinctively. He climbed in like he used to when he was small and afraid of thunder. But now his body was warm and strong and the bed suddenly felt smaller. We talked more. About fears, regrets, love, and all the things we never said before. I felt tears at one point. I wasn't sure whose. Maybe both of ours. And then there was silence again. Our faces just inches apart in the dim light. "I'm not a boy anymore, Mom," he whispered. My breath caught. "I know." His fingers brushed mine. Barely. But the sensation lingered like lightning on skin. That was the moment I knew everything was about to change. The room was quiet, dimly lit by the moonlight slipping through the white curtains. Ethan's presence next to me felt unreal. His hands still lingered close to mine on the bed, our fingers brushing lightly, like a secret neither of us could say aloud. And yet something in the air had already whispered it. "Why did you really come home early?" I asked softly, my voice barely audible. He took a moment before answering. "I needed to feel grounded again. Life out there, it's fast. People pretend to care but they're cold. And I missed you." I turned to face him. His eyes met mine, wide, vulnerable, searching. "You've always been my safe place, Mom." Something tightened in my chest. Love. Pure. Raw. But layered now with something else. An emotion that didn't belong to just a parent. "You don't have to carry everything alone, Ethan," I whispered. "You never have." He looked at me with those deep eyes, and in them I saw the boy he once was and the man he had become. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from my cheek. His fingers lingered just a second longer than they should have, sending warmth across my skin. I didn't stop him. "You're so beautiful," he murmured. I never really noticed it until I was older. But now, I see it. A chill danced down my spine, but it wasn't fear. It was something forbidden yet tender. Something alive. I should have said something. I should have changed the subject. But instead I felt a strange calm. His words didn't feel wrong. They felt overdue. I smiled faintly and replied, "You're not that little boy anymore, are you?" "No," he said quietly. "And you're not just my mom anymore. You're the only person who's truly ever seen me." The honesty in his tone was disarming. There was no lust. Just admiration, affection, and maybe curiosity. My heart was fluttering, unsure whether to retreat or surrender. We lay silently for a few minutes. His hand slipped over mine fully now, fingers interlocking. It was such a simple act, and yet it made my chest ache. "I remember when I was 13, he said suddenly, "and I was sick with the flu. You slept on the floor beside me all night, holding my hand. I felt so loved. So protected." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I'd do it again. You've given me so much," he whispered. "And I don't know if I ever thanked you properly for it." "You don't have to. But I want to." He shifted closer, his breath brushing softly against my cheek. My heart was thudding now, uncontrollably. I wasn't sure who leaned in first, but our foreheads touched. Gently. Like a question. The air between us thickened. His thumb traced slow circles on the back of my hand. Innocent. But deliberate. I didn't pull away. The silence between us was deafening yet comforting. "Ethan," I breathed. "I know," he whispered, not letting me finish. "I'm scared," I admitted. "Me too. But I don't want this to ruin us," I added quickly. "It won't," he said, pulling back just slightly to look into my eyes. "I don't want to lose what we have either. But it's changing, isn't it?" I nodded, tears gathering at the corners of my eyes. "Yes, it is." He touched my cheek again, thumb brushing away the tears gently. His touch was light, respectful. Warmth radiated through my body. I didn't know how to define this new emotion. It wasn't just maternal. It wasn't just affection. It was something between love and longing. He didn't kiss me. Not that night. But something deeper happened. Our hearts moved closer than they'd ever been. We fell asleep next to each other, fully clothed, fully safe, but more emotionally vulnerable than ever before. I felt his breathing slow, his chest rising and falling beside me. I turned toward him one last time before drifting off and whispered, "Whatever this becomes, I'll never stop loving you." Morning light filtered through the curtains. I woke up to find Ethan still beside me, his hands still in mine. His eyes opened slowly, a soft smile playing on his lips. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," I replied, brushing my fingers through his messy hair. That day everything was different. And yet everything was still the same. We had breakfast together in silence. Not an awkward silence, but one where words weren't needed. We moved around the kitchen like we'd been doing it for years, but the air now had an unspoken energy between us. As I sipped my coffee, I caught him watching me. Not like a boy looking at his mother, but like a man memorizing the face of someone he deeply cared for. He reached over and tucked a loose curl behind my ear. "You always smell like vanilla," he murmured. I laughed softly. "That's just my lotion." He leaned in slightly, nose brushing my cheek just shy of a kiss. Still my favorite scent. Later that afternoon he asked if I wanted to go for a walk down by the lake. The same path we used to take when he was younger. I agreed. The walk was quiet, peaceful. The summer air was thick with the scent of pine and distant water. Birds chirped, the wind rustled the leaves. He reached for my hand again. I didn't resist. We sat on the wooden bench overlooking the water. The reflection of the sky danced in his eyes. "I don't want to rush anything," he said softly. "I know. But I also don't want to pretend this isn't real." "I know." We looked at each other, and in that moment we silently agreed to take things slow. To allow the bond between us to grow safely, respectfully. It wasn't about crossing lines. It was about finding a space where emotional love, closeness, and understanding could exist without guilt. And somehow in that new space, we were closer than we'd ever been. That night we watched the stars from the porch swing. He draped a blanket over both of us. His arm around my shoulders again. His head gently resting on mine. "I think," he said slowly, "you're the first person who's ever truly loved me without conditions." I looked up at him. "You're the first person who's ever truly seen all of me." And there we were, two people connected by something deeper than roles, deeper than rules. A bond forged through time, trust, and a love that dared to evolve. That night changed our bond forever. Not through anything physical, but through something far more intimate. Emotional truth.